Yeah, you're gonna love this one. It's a scream, baby.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 over-the-top horror movie villain performances.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Credence Leonor Gielgud of ancient Druid origins.
Hi, I know what you're thinking. This is weird, huh? But I can handle it.
You shall never retrieve the Necronomicon. You'll die in the graveyard before you get it.
Hey, what's that you got on your face?
Huh? Blah, blah.
For this list, we're looking at performances in horror movies where actors really hammed it up as the bad guy. We're not saying these were bad performances, they're just different. Which of these performances did you find to be a little much? Let us know in the comments. Also, please note, there will be spoilers. Number 10, Matthew Lillard as Stu Marker, Scream. Throughout the movie, Matthew Lillard plays Stu as a total goofball. He's always cracking jokes and pulling silly faces.
Oh! Dork. Jesus, this place is packed tonight, man.
We had a run in the mass murder scene.
During the final act, however, when Stu is revealed to be one of the killers, Matthew Lillard really lets loose with the character, amping up the quirks. Lillard's performance at the climax was a nice contrast to Skeet Ulrich, who played the other killer, Billy, and was more sinister with his role.
Oh no. Tell that to Cotton Weary. You wouldn't believe how easy he was to frame.
To liven up his performance, Lillard reportedly ad-libbed some of his dialogue, including his response to being accidentally struck with the phone.
Fucking hit me with the phone, Dick!
Number 9, Brad Dureth as Chucky, Child's Play franchise. If you're providing the voice of a killer doll in a horror movie, you can either be subtle and creepy, or you can play it big. With Chucky, Oscar-nominated actor Brad Dureth went with the latter option.
You little shit! Do you know what you've done? It's too late! I've spent too much time in this body!
All of Chucky's reactions are larger than life, whether he's laughing maniacally, screaming in terror, or intimidating someone into following his pint-sized orders. From the first scene in the original Child's Play, where we see him voice the doll, Dureth never fails to make an impression.
I said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch! You filthy slut!
As the series gradually became a more self-aware comedy, Dureth naturally made Chucky even more over the top.
I'm one of the most notorious slashers in history, and I don't want to give that up. I am Chucky, the killer doll, and I dig it!
Number 8, Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun, Leprechaun franchise. Let's be honest, when it comes to playing a killer leprechaun, the concept is so ridiculous that Warwick Davis had no choice but to play the role as extremely over the top.
There's only one way to kill a leprechaun. But I'm not going to tell you.
I'll never tell you!
The character was a departure for Davis, who was known for movies such as Return of the Jedi and Willow, but it gave him a chance to show a new sinister side.
I don't like what I'm seeing. 2 leprechauns is one too many, lad.
Davis, ever the committed performer, strikes an interesting balance, delivering just enough genuine menace while also being whimsically silly. Davis's portrayal of the leprechaun was so memorable and absurd that the sequels in this series sent the character to Las Vegas, the inner city, and even outer space. Number 7, Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman, American Psycho. Based on Bret Easton Ellis's 1991 novel, this film centers on Patrick Bateman, a disturbed Wall Street investment banker who explores all manner of sick and twisted desires.
My nightly bloodlust has overflowed into my days. I feel lethal, on the verge of frenzy. I think my mask of sanity is about to slip.
According to director Mary Harron, Christian Bale actually took inspiration for his performance as Bateman from an interview that Tom Cruise gave on David Letterman. More specifically, he was inspired by the friendliness and intense energy that Cruise displayed.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my god. It even has a watermark.
Something wrong, Patrick?
Bale's performance was all around odd, but utterly captivating, and he certainly nailed the intensity. Bateman was aggressively snobby when he was around his friends, and completely unhinged when he was engaging in violent acts. Who can forget the infamous Huey Lewis scene?
In '87, Huey released this, 4, their most accomplished album. I think their undisputed masterpiece is Hip to Be Square. A song so catchy, most people probably don't listen to the lyrics, but they should.
Number 6, Bruce Campbell as Evil Ash, Army of Darkness. Sam Raimi's Evil Dead series has never shied away from absurdity. The villains, in particular, are downright maniacal.
I'll swallow your soul!
Come get some.
In the third entry, however, the filmmaker upped to the ante by giving Ash himself, Bruce Campbell, a chance to play one of the baddies. Campbell played an evil version of his iconic character, and the malevolent doppelganger was every bit as silly as the original Ash, with the added bonus of a sinister twist.
Are you me?
What argue? Argue me?
You sound like a jerk!
After introducing himself, Evil Ash pesters the other Ash with childish taunts. Watching Bruce Campbell interact with himself and engage in violent slapstick was one of the highlights of the movie, if not the entire series.
Hey! What's the big idea taking bite?
Why, you?
Oh! Ooh, I'm blind.
Number 5, Vincent Price as Edward Lionheart, Theatre of Blood. With a whole career's worth of over-the-top performances to his name, Vincent Price more than earned his reputation for being campy.
An opinion I find myself incapable of sharing.
His roles in horror movies like House on Haunted Hill and the abominable Dr. Phoebes were both strong contenders for a spot on our list. But Edward Lionheart has them all beat.
We've denied you nothing. For 30 years, the public has acknowledged that I was the master. And that this year, my season of Shakespeare was the shining jewel in the crown of the immortal bard.
In this 1973 film, Price plays a bad actor who dishes out gruesome punishments to theatre critics he felt had unfairly smeared him with unflattering reviews. A Shakespearean-trained actor who takes himself too seriously and puts on ridiculous costumes? This is the role that Price was born to play.
It's a very interesting play, don't you think so, Miss Moon? Especially that scene where Joan of Arc dies at the stake. Though I'm afraid you might find our novel version of it a bit of a shock.
Number 4, Nicolas Cage as Peter Lowe, Vampire's Kiss. It's hard to think of an actor more famous for being over the top than Nicolas Cage. In this horror comedy, Cage plays a New York literary agent who believes he's becoming a vampire and begins to suffer a mental breakdown.
I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
Each and every scene is an opportunity for Cage to one-up himself and showcase just how weird he can get. From the enthusiastic way he recites the alphabet to actually eating a live cockroach on camera. It's a lot. This is also the film that gave us that iconic Nicolas Cage meme. You know the one. It's that great "you don't say" meme. Vampire's Kiss is truly the gift that keeps on giving.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it. You have to, or I'll fire you. Do you understand?
Number 3, Tim Curry as Pennywise, It.
Aren't you going to say hello?
While Bill Skarsgård certainly put his own spin on the character of Pennywise, Tim Curry still has him beat when it comes to being over the top. Curry leaned into the clownish aspects of Pennywise, making jokes and yucking it up while he tormented the children of Derry.
I'll kill you all. I'll drive you crazy and I'll kill you all. I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true.
And when the Losers Club grew up and returned as adults, he kept the jokes coming. Bringing bravado to every scene in which he appears, Curry really lived up to his role as an interdimensional being and eater of worlds.
If you see... Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
Curry's Pennywise was a memorable example of how over-the-top acting doesn't necessarily ruin a horror film. It can actually elevate it. Number 2, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Robert Englund was able to distinguish Freddy from other horror villains of the era by making him a trash talker with a flair for the dramatic.
Please, God.
This is God.
In the original film, we got to see a little bit of this side of Freddy as he taunted his victims, but he was saving the best material for later. As the series progressed, Freddy's penchant for being over the top became more and more amplified.
No screaming while the bus is in motion!
By Freddy's Dead, Freddy had become a full-on Looney Tune, with shameless gags such as playing with the Power Glove and impersonating the Wicked Witch of the West.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul too!
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honourable mentions. Bette Davis as Baby Jane Hudson. Whatever happened to Baby Jane? Bette Davis was delightfully disturbing as the titular washed-up child star.
Now, when I'm very good and do as I am told, I'm Mama's little angel, and Papa says I'm good as gold.
Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Voorhees. Friday the 13th. Betsy Palmer looked particularly deranged when she broke out in Jason's voice.
Don't let her get away, Mommy. Don't let her live.
I won't, Jason. I won't.
Eric Freeman as Ricky. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2. Eric Freeman's performance uplifted what would have otherwise been a forgettable film.
Garbage day! Huh? No!
Christopher Lee as Dracula. Dracula. Lee brought an intimidating presence to the iconic role.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance. The Shining. What's the first thing that comes to mind when thinking of an over-the-top performance in a horror movie?
Wendy, let me explain something to you. Whenever you come in here and interrupt me, you're breaking my concentration. You're distracting me, and it will then take me time to get back to where I was.
More often than not, it's Jack Nicholson going all out as a psycho axe murderer. Under the direction of Stanley Kubrick, Nicholson gave an unhinged performance which perfectly captured one man's descent into madness. Whether he was just staring blankly or snapping at Shelley Duvall's Wendy, he never lets up with the intensity.
Give me the bat. Stop it! Give me the bat. Stop swinging the bat.
Perhaps the greatest contribution Nicholson gave to his performance was improvising the line, "Here's Johnny," after tearing down the door.
Here's Johnny!
Absurd, shocking, and oh so quotable. It's the whole package.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.